Welcome to ELX Pro, my name is Gustavo, and today in this video we will cover essential topics. Understanding list, running tests in Elixir, creating your first test, validating user before inserting data, sending money to another account, and especially function pattern matching for reusability. No more introduction, let's get started. So let's go ahead to our second class, and what we're gonna do, we saw a couple of things right here. So first of all, let's start our project again. But before we move forward, I would like to explain a little bit more how list works. So in this case, what we have, imagine that the user one is the number one, and users, we have two, and three. And then if we want to add one more, we have a couple of options. First one is user pipe and then users, and this is what we have. The same one happens, for example, if you use this way to all users. So what is the difference here? The difference is that the syntax, you can add one, but the other one, you create like two lists. And then what we can do as well. So one of the things that we can add another element is we have the user. If you try just do something like this, so we got a problem, because we have an argument error. But now when you do something like this, you can add another user too, because you basically what you're doing is just merge two lists, which is great. Plus, if you think about some algorithms and data structures that you built in the past, if we have users and then user, you're gonna add the element as a last element, which is fantastic when you learn a lot of research such as recursion. And now, because we have this list, one of the things that I would like to introduce to you is how you can use t-test and TDD with Elixir. So first of all, one of the things that we are going to do is that we install a framework called Test Watch. If you really want to learn how to use TDD with Elixir and build complex things, I highly recommend you to click on the link below, and then you can watch a free class where I teach you from zero to become an expert with Elixir, building distributed applications. See if that makes sense for you, and just watch the class. And then when we have this framework, we can test using this task here. So what we're going to do, we're going to run our tests. And one of the things that you can learn is how to use the coverage. As you can see, we have nothing. And another thing that you can do, if you want to watch all the tests, we can do something like this. At the same time, if we change something on our code base, for example, if we add the file called user test exs, as you can see, we are always watching our application. So because it's so straightforward, we can just copy and paste, and then we can say user test. The syntax to create a test will be test given name and mail. When nil, then return a user. Then we have like john@doe.com, and when we do it, we can say assert username John Doe, and the email will be something like this. And when we do it, so as you can see, it's 50% coverage. let's see how it goes. So what we have here, we have a module that returns for us the user. Now our coverage was increased, which is great. At the same time, we can just, I'm just going to copy and paste the file and say account test, and then we can say account test, and then we can say that on our account function, we need a list of users and we need a list of RAMs. So what are we gonna do? So we have our first test here. I'm gonna say that the users will be empty. Then our test will be, we're gonna say that right here, when insert, then return new user list. Then I'm gonna say account insert users johndoe.com, and then we're gonna have a new users list. Then we're gonna say that assert that length user is 1. And there you go. Now we have more coverage tests. We can see the report too. Personally, I don't like to use the syntax because when we see the Review Explorer, and then if I open on my browser, as you can see, we have this way to see the coverage. Main goal here is not the coverage in this aspect. We're not going to focus on that, but see how we can use the test-driven development here. And what we're going to do now, we need one more rule. We can say that we are going to describe the insert test. Let me just get rid of this. And then using TDD, we're going to show a message. I'm going to say given user that already exists, when insert, then return the same user list. Return the same user list. It's gonna be enough for us. So what we're gonna do is just copy paste, sorry. So, and basically what we're gonna do is using the pipe operator. Let's just get rid of this. Just reuse it. And now I think it's fine. And then let me just close this guy here. And there you go. It is complaining. Oh, it's users. And as you can see, we got a fail because we need, when we are inserting the user, we need to check if the email already exists. So we can use the find, and then it's just validating the email. So this is a way where we have a function to check it. This is going to return nil or a value. So what we can do, we can use a keys statement. I'm going to provide a couple articles for you too. And if it's nil, so we're going to have this process here. And then let's just check our coverage now. User email is equals email. I think it's fine, but oh, sorry, my bad. This should be this email right here. And there you go. Now all the tests are passing. What else that we have here? So we have our first business rule, and which is great. So now we have some validation, and also our test, our code is covered too, which is fantastic. We are not talking about architecture or something like that, but what I like to use TDD with Elixir. When you use TDD with Elixir, the advantage is your code will be born tested. Also, Elixir is so easy to test. The result is so fast, and it's so simple. One of the things that I learned with Elixir is that creating tests is so simple. And moving your code with tests, the last step when you do it using TDD, what's going to happen? Your last step is to just test your code as a user. In our case, we can just go over here and say ix-smix and just test it. So we can say users will be, and then we're going to see that's going to be a mirror of our code. A count where insert will be users John, then john@email.com. You can see it's almost the same, which is fantastic. And now you learned how test is easier with Elixir, and we need to create a function where we are going to send money to someone. And to do that, what we're going to do is we are going to check if the account exists. So what we're going to do, so you can come over here and then create another describe. I'm going to say send. I don't know how many programs we're gonna use, and what we're gonna do is just one more rule here. It's gonna be great, and right here I'm gonna have test given a user list when send money. When send money, when call function send and user does not exist, return the users and the error message. This is gonna be our test, and what we're gonna do is we need to insert a user, so we can just at the beginning, let's just not have the users. So we're gonna say the email, which is from, I'm gonna say johndoe.com, and I'm gonna send to guys@doe.com. The value will be like $3, and then we're gonna have the users, the message, and then we're gonna say that users will be like empty. It's fine. And the message will be, I'm gonna use like the atom, error user not found. User, let's make this message better. So user John Doe not found list. So this is going to be our rule. So the function does not exist. So we can just come over here and say send users from to amount. I like Copilot because it's super helpful, but in this case, we are just going to users use like num.enum.find users from, and then you can say case statement. If it's nil, it's gonna be the result, or if a user can just say just ignore the user, and then just return the users and OK. And as you can see, our rule is already working. And if so, let's just make the same test, but when user exists, return users. So now let's just create just insert this account. So users, just ignore this guy here, and then so the email is the same, and then we can just it will be okay. Then just return the users for now. I'm gonna change this test, but the most important is I'm sorry, basically we need, for now I think this assert will be enough for us, because at the end of the day it's gonna be a users, and then our all of our tests are passing. I'm not gonna use the cover. This is just to show you what you can do. All of our tests is working. The same is gonna happen when the user two does not exist. So I'm gonna format this guy, and then I'm gonna get this error message. As you can see, the error message is different. The validation is the same, but what we're gonna do, we're gonna use this function to find something, and this function will be private, and we can say something like find a user where we got the email, and then we can just replace here to something like users and from. It's gonna work properly, and at the same time we can use the same exact function right here, and our code base will work properly. And as you can see, it was just a refactor. Just one more thing. How about if you make this simpler, we can use like the anonymous function, where we can use this param. What does that mean? It means the first argument on our function will be n1, which is great. and the code will be much more simpler. And because this is so simple, we can make this function in just one line using the Elixir convention. And I know that we are not using to and the amount. And then what we can do, we can make this function something like check if user exists, users and email. Then we're just gonna move this condition right here. For some reason it's not working my mouse. And then it's fine. And then we can just make something like this. Check user exists. And then we can just use this function here where we have a pattern matching. How about check if user from exists? It's gonna be something similar, but the difference will be that like this, and then check user to exist, and then it's going to be something like a reusable condition. If it's okay, we can just users, we can say true. Sorry, it's gonna be users and okay. Gonna be fine. And then if it is an error, if we have like error, I'm just going to ignore, then I'm gonna call it as a result. Ignore the to because we're not going to use that, and just return the result. Now what you saw is that how powerful is pattern matching to reuse our code. It's complaining because we have a function called check if user exists. We have this function and it is complaining that, oh, we are talking about the to, and just rename this. Oh, right here, I forgot because it just and right here we're going to ignore this guy and find a user. It's complaining on line 23. Oh, this is the email, because this is more generic. And almost there. So we got this test that it's not working because the John Doe, right here, it's complaining because the John Doe. See how it goes. Check. insert here. So we have inserted. It's complaining because user John Doe not found. So this first test we are talking about the insert, which is fine. Then we have the send function. The send function, we have a list. And on this list, amount isn't used. Let me just ignore for now. We start with from. Check if user exists. If it's nil, if find the users, user not found, just return the error in the message, which is fine. And then users, let me see how it goes. Let me check the error. Check if users exist. We got the error. Pushed. Okay, I made a mistake. So in this case, we are sending to Gus Doe. Okay, never mind. So the error is my test because I forgot to add the user that already exists. So now on this test, it's gonna be Gus Doe, but both user does not exist. So let me just make a refactor here. And now we got both users. We need the John Doe, but we're not gonna have the Gus Doe. Just get rid of the user here. And the list should be, of course, 1. And what else is missing? There you go. Just one more where both exist. Given a user list when users exist, then return the updated list of users with the new balances. So this is gonna be our test, but both users needs to exist. So what we're gonna do is gonna be something similar with this one, but before we are going to have both users here. So first we need to have our list of users, and then we're gonna use this users here, but we need to check the balance on both. So first of all, let's just use the assert. Users will be like something that it's not important for us. And this test is gonna be straightforward. And then we're gonna say num dot PO. Then the balance on both are 1000. It's working perfect. Let's just make this a smaller function. And then when this guy will return for us the users. We're gonna have two balances where the users, it's not gonna be the same. We can say refute, but the difference between them, we can improve this test. But the difference between them will be the values. So we're gonna have different values right here, and we are going to update the values where so John will be 1997 and Gus will be 1003. So this is a test that we need to do. So if we come over here to our test, we can say send money, and because we already have both, this is something interesting to think. I'm gonna stop this class, and tomorrow, next class, we are gonna be make this function something more interesting. The most important is that our test is different now. Hope to see you in the next class, and bye bye.